What if we tell you that much of what you have heard about the legendary Malcolm X is inaccurate and driven by propaganda? Despite the efforts of many individuals to obscure his contributions to the Black community and global human rights, we are here to share the truth about this iconic figure. Malcolm X's journey was far from conventional, from a challenging upbringing to a descent into criminal activities and a decade behind bars. Yet, little did anyone anticipate that he would alter the course of history. So, what actions did he take that led to preserving his legacy? Let's find out. Historically, some figures stand as giants, their impact resonating through time. They were and will remain the heroes of all times. One such legend is Malcolm X, an enigmatic force whose story can transform one's life. His life is a tale of transformation and commitment that captivates and challenges all obstacles. Malcolm X wasn't just a historical figure. He was a man who crossed the spectrum of human experience. From a troubled past as a street hustler to becoming an intellectual powerhouse and a symbol of civil rights, his journey is of resilience, courage, and self-discovery. He is a man who questioned the status quo and demanded justice and equality for African Americans. And his legacy is not just a chapter in history, but a living example of the lasting struggle for justice and equality. So, let's look at how his relentless determination and unapologetic advocacy shook the foundations of societal norms. Malcolm Little, who would later be renowned as Malcolm X, emerged into a world deeply absorbed in racial prejudice and segregation. Born on May 19, 1925, in Omaha, Nebraska, to Earl and Louise Little, Malcolm's early life was a storm of hardship and struggle, but that would shape his journey toward becoming a formidable advocate for civil rights. The Littles were not just ordinary parents, but courageous fighters against the racial injustice prevailing in the United States. Growing up in a society that sought to confine him due to the color of his skin, Malcolm surpassed the limitations imposed upon him. However, his parents' activism came at a cost. The family faced threats, and Malcolm, from a tender age, witnessed the harsh realities of racism. To escape the escalating racial tensions, the Little family moved frequently, encountering discrimination and hostility in various locations. This constant upheaval in Malcolm's formative years exposed him to the insidious nature of systemic racism. Tragedy struck the Little family when Malcolm's father, Earl, was brutally murdered, presumably by white supremacists. This devastating event was a turning point that would have lasting effects on Malcolm's life. Subsequently, his mother, Louise, faced the overwhelming burden of raising their children alone and endured a mental breakdown, further destabilizing the family. His mother, Louise, was sent to a mental institution, and Malcolm and his siblings were separated and sent to various foster homes. This marked a turbulent period in his life, leaving scars that would influence his worldview and shape his commitment to fighting against racial injustice. His parents' commitment to the fight against injustice left a mark on him, laying the foundation for his future role as a prominent civil rights leader. He was a smart kid from the very beginning. Despite excelling in junior high school, Malcolm's educational journey was difficult. His teachers bullied him. Imagine how much pressure this would put on a child. At the tender age of 13, Malcolm X found himself entangled with the law, charged with neglect, and subsequently spent time in immature detention. Malcolm's experience in juvenile detention was a turning point that exposed him to the harsh realities of the criminal justice system. It was within these institutions that he witnessed firsthand the challenges faced by young individuals trapped in the system. The oppressive conditions and systemic injustices he encountered during this time left an indelible mark on his consciousness, further fueling his determination to fight against social inequalities. Upon his release from juvenile detention, Malcolm X was at a crossroads. Instead of anyone providing him with a supportive environment to facilitate his rehabilitation, he succumbed to the harsh realities of life outside the institution. This period led him to criminal activities, including selling drugs and engaging in burglary. The absence of a proper support system, with the societal barriers faced by Black individuals, contributed to his descent into a life of crime. At the age of 15, Malcolm X made the fateful decision to drop out of school, a choice influenced by a tragic encounter with a teacher who said the goal of the law was an unrealistic goal for a Black individual. This disheartening experience highlighted the racism that extended even into educational institutions, a circumstance that could break the spirit of anyone facing such discrimination. Little did the world, and certainly not that teacher, foresee that the young man who left high school prematurely would evolve into a fearless advocate, challenging the status quo and leaving an indelible mark on the fight for civil rights in America. The seeds of resilience planted in Malcolm during his rough upbringing began to sprout, setting the stage for a remarkable transformation. However, the journey took an unfortunate turn, as Malcolm X found himself now completely drawn into a life of crime, engaging in activities such as selling drugs and burglary. In 1946, the repercussions of Malcolm X's involvement in criminal activities surfaced when he was sentenced to 10 years in prison for burglary. This detention became the crucible where Malcolm underwent a profound transformation, reshaping his beliefs and journey to fight against racial injustice. Within the confines of prison, Malcolm X's encounter with fellow convict John Bembry became a transformative catalyst. Bembry, a self-educated man, ignited a passion for learning within Malcolm. This unexpected connection opened the door to a world of knowledge that went beyond the physical limitations of the prison walls. Inspired by Bembry's intellectual pursuits, Malcolm seized the opportunity to educate himself, devouring books and expanding his understanding of various subjects. Malcolm's brother, Reginald, played a key role during this critical period. Recognizing Malcolm's destructive path, Reginald became a guiding force, urging him to abandon harmful behaviors and make choices that would lead to personal growth. Reginald's influence set the stage for Malcolm's transformative journey as he reviewed his life and its purpose. The prison environment, often viewed as a place of confinement, became Malcolm X's classroom for self-discovery. The limitations of physical freedom transformed into an opportunity for intellectual and spiritual liberation. As Malcolm engaged in introspection and self-reflection, he confronted the consequences of his past actions and sought rescue through education and personal development. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, identity, and forgotten heroes. Let's continue now. Then, he also embraced the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, the leader of the Nation of Islam. This began a spiritual and intellectual journey that would redefine Malcolm's purpose. Elijah Muhammad's teachings resonated deeply with Malcolm, providing a guiding light in the darkness of incarceration. The ideology of the Nation of Islam, emphasizing self-reliance, Black empowerment, and resistance against systemic oppression, became the cornerstone of Malcolm's newfound purpose. The prison walls that physically confined Malcolm became permeable as his mind traversed the vast landscapes of literature and philosophy. Elijah Muhammad's guidance became a compass, pointing Malcolm towards a higher purpose and a clearer understanding of his role in the broader struggle for civil rights. The transformation within the prison's confines was not merely academic, but a metamorphosis of the soul. Malcolm's intellectual growth was not just about accumulating facts, but about developing a comprehensive worldview that would serve as the foundation for his future activism. The rigorous self-education he undertook during his incarceration laid the groundwork for the passionate speaker he would later become. In 1952, when the prison gates swung open, Malcolm X appeared into the world not as the troubled young man who had once dropped out of high school, but as a transformed individual with a radiant sense of purpose. His release marked the climax of a journey that showcased the remarkable resilience of the human spirit in the face of hardship. After his release from prison, Malcolm X emerged as a prominent civil rights activist, leaving an indelible mark on a crucial phase of the civil rights movement in the United States. He also became a member of the Islamic Nation. One significant aspect of Malcolm X's transformation was the adoption of the surname X. This symbolic change represented the loss of his true African name, a heritage covered by the legacy of slavery. In his autobiography, Malcolm X explained that the X held significance, representing the African family name stripped away from his ancestors during the transatlantic slave trade. This act symbolized a rejection of the surname Little, imposed on his family by white slave owners, and served as a powerful statement of his personal and cultural identity. Then something unexpected happened. His conflict with the Nation of Islam started. Malcolm X's conflict with the Nation of Islam stemmed from his increasing questioning and challenging of the organization's teachings and leadership. A significant source of conflict was the divergence in philosophical beliefs between Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam. Specifically, Disagreements arose concerning the role of violence and the concept of the separation of black and white Americans. Malcolm X began questioning the Nation of Islam's rigid stance on these issues, advocating for a better and evolving approach. As Malcolm X's influence and prominence within the Nation of Islam grew, tensions escalated with Elijah Muhammad, the organization's leader, and other prominent figures. Malcolm X's ambition and quest for a more active role in shaping the organization's direction clashed with the established hierarchy. The leadership may have perceived his rising influence as challenging their authority, worsening the conflict. This conflict marked a turning point in Malcolm X's journey, as he aimed to stay determined by his evolving beliefs, while facing resistance from the organization that once shaped his convictions. The conflict with the Nation of Islam prompted Malcolm X to embark on a transformative journey, leading to the establishment of the Organization of Afro-American Unity, OAAU. This organizational shift symbolized Malcolm X's evolution toward a more global perspective, surpassing the boundaries of a solely domestic focus. The OAAU served as a platform dedicated to fostering unity and solidarity among people of African descent worldwide, embodying Malcolm X's commitment to a broader, international vision. His powerful speeches and charismatic persona served as potent tools that resonated with the pent-up anger, frustration, and bitterness experienced by African Americans during this tumultuous period. Malcolm X's approach to the civil rights movement set him apart, challenging the mainstream narrative by advocating for black separatism. This stance represented a more radical perspective within the broader struggle for civil rights, resonating deeply within the black community that had an immediate response to systemic racism. Malcolm X's political vision was motivated by his experience, representing the voice of Black America's heart rather than its brain. He became a spokesperson for a generation that had survived the indignities of second-class citizenship and witnessed the brutal suppression of protesters. His role symbolized Black Americans' frustration and aspirations during a rough period. These factors sparked a transformative change within Malcolm X. His evolving perspective led him to adopt a more militant and humanistic approach to life and activism. The experiences of systemic racism, coupled with his journey of self-discovery, molded Malcolm X into a dynamic figure who passionately addressed the urgent need for justice and equality. Malcolm X symbolized resistance, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of a better future for Black Americans. A pivotal moment in Malcolm X's ideological evolution was his pilgrimage to Mecca, a journey that left an indelible mark on his views. Witnessing Muslims from diverse backgrounds interacting as equals during the Hajj challenged his previously held notions on race. This experience was crucial in broadening his perspective and fostering a more inclusive understanding of humanity. But why did he transition from Black nationalism to global awareness? Also, Malcolm X's transition from Black nationalism to global awareness was not abrupt, but a gradual process. The exposure to international issues and personal experiences contributed to reshaping his ideological stance. The evolution reflected a thought maturation, highlighting the complexity of navigating identity, race, and justice within a global context. He gave the speech, "By any means necessary," in 1964. "We declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary." His advocacy for Black nationalism struck a deep chord, echoing far beyond the borders of the United States. His emphasis on self-reliance and human dignity became a beacon, inspiring countless souls across the globe. Yet, Malcolm X was not merely a supporter, but a catalyst for change. His love for Black history was palpable, an emotional embrace that fueled a teaching of racial rescue. Through cultural consciousness and an insistence on racial self-awareness, he revived Black nationalism. In his words, a cultural renaissance of Black America was underway. Addressing police brutality in 1962, he said, "We are oppressed, we are exploited, we are denied not only civil rights, but human rights." Malcolm did not shy away from confrontation, but met societal norms head-on. His words were not just rhetoric, but a force challenging the status quo. Malcolm X became an agent of linguistic change under the influence of the Nation of Islam. The terms used to refer to African Americans transformed, shedding the imposed labels of Negro and colored. Through his influence, a shift in terminology became a symbol of reclaiming identity. In the ballot or the bullet speech in 1964, we ourselves have to lift the level of our community to a higher level, make our own society beautiful so that we will be satisfied in your own circles and won't be running prospects for freedom. As time passed, Malcolm X's legacy took root. His message of empowerment and self-determination continued to breathe life into new generations. His ideas found a home in the hallowed halls of academia, where they were studied, dissected, and debated. The echo of his tireless dedication to the fight for civil rights resonated through time. The narrative of Malcolm X, a potent force in the fight against racism, took a tragic turn on February 21, 1965. It was an evening at the Audubon Ballroom in Manhattan when Malcolm X, in the middle of delivering a speech, fell victim to an assassin's bullet. His assassination left an unforgettable mark, a void in the leadership that resonated with those who had found comfort and inspiration in his words. His death became a subject of ongoing investigation and legal action. Recent claims have surfaced, suggesting the involvement of the NYPD and federal agencies in the killing and complexity of an already tragic event. In the wake of Malcolm X's assassination, the story is revealed with twists and turns. Two men, A. Aziz and Khalil Islam, found guilty of his murder, were on the verge of dismissal after decades. Initially convicted in 1966 for their alleged involvement in the crime, Aziz and Islam consistently maintained their innocence throughout the decades. However, recent developments in the investigation, spearheaded by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and the Innocence Project, have led to vacating their convictions. The state and city of New York have committed to compensating Aziz and Islam for their wrongful convictions, with a settlement amounting to $36 million. This includes $26 million from the city and $10 million from the state. These developments highlight the ongoing efforts to uncover the truth surrounding Malcolm X's assassination, emphasizing the need for a comprehensive re-examination of historical cases to ensure justice prevails. These grave errors highlight the complexity and uncertainty surrounding the circumstances of Malcolm X's death. As the investigations into his assassination continue, the narrative of Malcolm X remains a powerful example of the challenges faced in the pursuit of justice. His life and untimely death serve as a reminder of the sacrifices made in the pursuit of equality and justice for all. The struggle that Malcolm X exemplified was a flame that refuses to be destroyed, illuminating the path toward a more just and equitable future. And what legacy has this legend left? Malcolm X's profound impact on American society is evident through specific examples showcasing his legacy's far-reaching influence. In Black Empowerment and Pride, Malcolm X's emphasis on Black self-determination resonated strongly, laying the groundwork for the Black Power movement of the late 1960s. Visionary leaders like Stokely Carmichael, later known as Kwame Ture, adopted the rallying cry of Black Power, marking a key moment in asserting political and economic empowerment within the Black community. His human rights advocacy extended beyond national borders. Malcolm X's impassioned speeches at international forums, including the United Nations, transcended racial discrimination globally. His advocacy became a beacon for subsequent generations of activists, inspiring movements such as anti-apartheid activism and global solidarity efforts that sought to address broader human rights issues. Malcolm X's religious transformation from the Nation of Islam to Sunni Islam contributed significantly to reshaping perceptions of the Muslim community in the United States. His journey fostered a broader understanding of Islam, dispelling stereotypes and misconceptions about the religion. In political activism, Malcolm X's call for active participation in the political process resonated profoundly. The subsequent election of African American political leaders, including the historic presidency of Barack Obama, reflects the increased political engagement inspired by Malcolm X. His advocacy encouraged a new generation to seek political office to effect change from within the system. Culturally, Malcolm X's autobiography, co-authored with Alex Haley, is a timeless and influential work. Adapted to various forms of media, Spike Lee's 1992 film, Malcolm X, brought his story to a wider audience, perpetuating his narrative and continuing to shape public perceptions and discussions about race and identity. Malcolm X's challenge to mainstream civil rights tactics was evident in his criticism of nonviolent resistance. While figures like Martin Luther King Jr. advocated for nonviolence, Malcolm X asserted the right of individuals and communities to self-defense, challenging the dominant narrative of the civil rights movement. We tried to cover his contributions as much as possible, but sharing everything this hero did for the world would be impossible, even if we made an hour-long video. So, there is no doubt that he did for Black people, and the world will always be remembered, making him a true legend. Do you think another figure like Malcolm X will be born? Can his impact on the world be forgotten? What's your perspective on his efforts? Let us know in the comments section. Why do the West try to downplay his contributions to the world? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.
Tell us what you think in the comment section. Like and share the video, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our African videos. It's the best way to support us.